Hi, I'm Autumn Lauren,
And I'm Carrie Kazire.
and we're going to be focusing on mathematics for our video. Um, First, do you want to ask me a question?
Yeah, okay. So the first question is share at least two instructional approaches, strategies, ideas you gained from the readings this week. Don't forget to mention your sources at the end when sharing.
Okay, so there were a lot of readings this week, but we chose two different readings, one from the Harrell and Jordan 2020 reading, um, and then one from the Del Olvera reading 2019. The two instructional approaches that we gained from the readings this week were using manipulatives and to construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others, which is also Math Practice 3 in the Common Core State Standards. So we thought those were good instructional approaches just because they're something that are very versatile and you can use them in any classroom, any grade, and they're something that can really boost the learning of the English language students.
And in majority of the classes that I have observed in and been had practicum with, I noticed that they do both of these in those. So it's great to get practice seeing also.
Next question is describe how they can facilitate the learning of multilingual students classified as ELs. Make adequate references to the readings.
So they can facilitate the learning of multilingual students classified as ELs by ensuring that they see math happening in front of them. So for example, it's good to have it like hands-on with the manipulatives. And this gives them to a chance that they gives them the opportunity to make sure that they understand the concept. Sometimes when it's just like written out on the board, it's harder for them to fully understand. Like they might memorize it, but they don't fully understand. So the hands-on is definitely helpful. And educators need to make sure that ELs are able to understand the content better and are working together to find creative ways to learn. And they need to discuss math more and know how to use instructional support that their teacher has in place. So the students need to be aware of like the help that they are like have available. They need to be comfortable with math and asking questions to when they need help. And then using these instructional approaches will be able to facilitate the learning of EL students better.
Yeah, so with that, I thought that with the manipulatives, giving the students a chance to like actually see the math happening right in front of them is really helpful because, like Carrie said, seeing it on the board, they may just memorize it or like just see
Go
the
right over their head.
it might just go right over their head. So it's better for them to like actually see like the subtraction or the addition problems with little blocks or even like a bigger like harder math problem in higher grades still seeing it like with actual manipulatives it will be really helpful for them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then our third question is explain why or why not you will use these approaches, strategies, ideas in your future or current classroom.
So we thought that we will use these in our future classrooms because we've seen them so much in our practicum classes and in all of the videos that we've watched. Um, We will be using these in our future classroom by creating math lessons that allow students to work hands-on with different types of manipulatives, not just the little blocks, but a lot of other manipulatives. Like when we're learning about money, they will like get like actual coins to be using with the money and not just seeing it on a piece of paper. Um, Working with manipulatives can help students adequately understand concepts and boost their confidence in their answers. Like, for example, if students are like figuring out a problem, um, and they just do it on the paper, they might be like, oh, I don't really know the answer, but I think it's this. But when they actually use the manipulatives and see it happening right in front of them, they're so much more confident in their answer and they're like jumping up and down to tell us the answer.
Yeah.
Um, we'll be having our students construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. Um, like for example, if two students are working together on a math problem, but they get different answers, they can um, know how to argue with the person next to them in a positive way to figure out the correct answer. And I think that also helps with the EL students because if they have like a way to argue with their person, then their partner, then it'll help them like be able to share the correct answer
Yeah.
or the
Something that my mom actually did when she was a teacher was she would let them all work like individually, and then at the end, once they all had their answers, she would write up on the board all of the different answers that the students got. And then once she had all of those options, then she would allow the students to like prove what they got and show their work. And then either once they were working it out in front of the class on the board, they would be like, oh, like this is what I did wrong. Or they were able to just show different strategies also that other students might not have done. And it just helps them show different ways and make corrections at the same time.
yeah. I think that's really a productive way to get like the math concept across. In one of my
Mhm.
practice classes, my teacher did something similar. She would like have them work by themselves and then put their answers on the board, and then they would work in partners, and then they would like she would ask, oh, what answer shouldn't be up there, and like if the answer was
Mhm.
24 and 80 was on the board, then they would cross off 80, and then they would end up with like three different options, and then they would work as a whole class to figure out the correct answer. And I think that's pretty productive about like constructing viable arguments on the correct
Yeah,
answer.
for sure.
The book mentioned that this involves multiple linguistic demands and reads in part mathematically proficient students understand and use stated assumptions, definitions, and previously established results in constructing arguments. They make conjectures and build a logical progression of statements to explore the truth of their conjectures. They are able to analyze student or situations by breaking them into cases and can recognize and use counterexamples. They justify their conclusions, communicate them to others, and respond to the arguments of others. Students at all grades can listen or read the arguments of others, decide whether they make sense, and ask useful questions to clarify or improve the arguments. And I think it's really important that it's stated in all grades you can be doing this. And also the fact that it involves multiple linguistic demands, meaning like for the EL students, they're still learning English. So like incorporating English into math will be really helpful for them.
I agree for sure.
Um, so then we also just added a few reasons using manipulatives is good. Carrie, if you want to read those.
It helps them construct an understanding of ideas that they can connect to mathematical vocabulary and symbols. And math manipulatives build students' confidence by giving them a way to test and confirm their reasoning. It just helps them give like a concrete in front of them that they can see it and it proves it like as their reasoning.
Yeah,
And overall, it just helps them hone in their mathematical thinking skills.
yeah, I agree. I think both of these are really good math practices that we'll be using in our future classroom to help all of our students and especially our EL students.
For sure. Yep.
Sorry, I couldn't. Thanks.
It's still recording.